Well, thank you very much. It seems tragic to interrupt this lovely music, so hopefully we can get our comments in this break. I am going to have to leave a little early, but I really did want to come down here and say just a few words today because this is such an important issue in our state and in our nation. As you know, last month, Ian Elias drove home to his wife, Nikki, and shot and killed her. And then he seized their two terrified daughters and drove to his apartment, where after a standoff with the police, he shot and killed himself in front of officers. And this past Thanksgiving Day, when many of us were enjoying the holiday with families and friends, James Paul drove to the home of Tanya Davis's girlfriend and shot and killed her, and then killed himself. When we talk about the victims of domestic violence, we're defining victim as the person, overwhelmingly female, who was harmed. But Nikki Elias was not the only victim in that case. Her two young girls are now orphans and face a future fraught with trauma and heartbreak. And the killer's family must live for the realization of the harm and destruction caused by one of their own. And Tanya Davis's family in Maine and her friends and relatives across the nation are still shocked by the loss of someone very close to them. When we talk about violence against women, I think it's very important for us to have the responsibility to understand the big picture definition. And in a real sense, I think that we are all victims, in one way or another, of violence against women. When Congress passed the Violence Against Women Act in 1994, it was after 4 years of testimony and research and fact-finding, and the effort confirmed what most women already know, that domestic violence and violence against women is a pervasive problem of national scope. And I think pervasive is the right word to use to describe this. Over the intervening 2 decades, to Congress's credit, they've renewed and strengthened the commitment by extending and expanding efforts to prosecute perpetrators and to assist victims. And in fact, the effort has shown some promising results. Between 1994 and 2010, the rate of intimate partner violence has gone down by 63%. But the fact is that the results belie a very, very important truth. And that truth is that every single act of violence, every single rape, every single act of violence by intimidation is one too many. And I think more importantly, the law is undercut by another fact, and that fact is that most acts of violence against women go unreported. Whether we're talking about rape on our university campuses, whether we're talking about physical abuse in rural parts of our state, whether we're talking about domestic violence in the military, and abuse in the military, or in the heart of some of our biggest cities, most cases of violence against women never get reported, never get investigated, and never get prosecuted. And the families and friends of the victims are left picking up the pieces and asking questions that in many cases will never be answered. And while domestic violence, I think, is too often wrongly portrayed as something that happens in our most vulnerable populations, the fact is it happens in our richest zip codes to our poorest. It happens in the most educated households and in the least educated households. And with so much left to do in the quest to actually end violence against women, I think it's easy to be daunted by the task before us. But over the past 20 years, through diligence and commitment by many people in this room and across the country, we have in fact made progress. We have demonstrated that it's possible, that we can make progress. We've demonstrated that awareness can be fostered, and we've demonstrated that lives can be saved. Clearly, we can and must do a lot more than we've done in the past to get at the root causes of violence against women, and that includes raising the number of households in Oregon out of poverty. It involves demanding accountability from gun owners and gun sellers. And it requires providing better mental health services, more investment in protecting vulnerable children in our state. It requires bolstering the capabilities of our law enforcement and fostering more power to assist the victims of this terrible crime. And for kindling that spark of hope, I want to just take an opportunity to thank the Oregon Department of Justice, and particularly its Crime Victim Service Division and the leadership of our Attorney General Ellen Rosenblum, and the work that they're doing in collaboration with district attorneys, with tribal nations, with law enforcement agencies and health professionals and social service groups across the state of Oregon. And I also want to commend each and every one of you for your commitment to working to end, once and for all, violence against women. Let me simply close by restating what I said at the beginning. Violence against women degrades all of us. Violence against mothers and sisters and daughters degrades all of us. Violence against young women, violence against old women degrades us all. Violence against white women, Asian women, black women, Native women, Hispanic women degrades us all. It seems to me our mission is clear and our mandate is absolutely undeniable, and our work will not be done until every woman in this state and in the United States of America feels free to live in peace. Thank you very much.